Senator McCAIN is in Arizona. You're in Arizona. Is that right, Senator?
No, I'm back in Washington.
Oh, there we go. Okay, good. I've got this done. Listen, we've got the latest poll out. Of course, you are now shown as widening the lead over the GOP Senate challenger, J.D. Hayworth and Jim Deacon. By the way, if this were a prize fight, Senator, they'd stop it.
Well, you never take anything for granted, and as you know full well, always run like you're behind, and then things work out okay. But there have been some nice polling numbers lately. But, it's a result of, frankly, getting our message out, making sure that people understand what the opposition is, and working hard. And it pays off, but we still got a long way to go.
Yeah, you're up 64% of support of likely Republican voters. JD's got 19%. Jim Deacon, I think 5%, something in that range. I would think if you're up 40 points, that'd feel pretty good with the voting about to begin here in a couple of weeks. Senator, the people of Arizona know you very well, and I think they got to know J.D. As well, too. And I think that's where these poll numbers come from. So there you go. Let me ask you.
We'll keep working hard, and thanks for having me on. And there's a lot going on in the Senate and a lot going on in Arizona, as you know. And so, I know we got a lot to chat about, John.
Let's talk about the Federal Reserve officials having a slightly dimmer view of this economy than they did in April. And that certainly reflects worries about the European debt crisis that could affect U.S. growth and job prospects. I'll tell you, Senator, I've been through a lot of up and downs in our economy in Arizona. This is the worst. I'm going to tell you, a lot of people were saying, boy, it's going to get better. It's not getting any better, Senator. We've got a lot of my neighbors, a lot of my friends out of work. This economy is just staggering along. We're really hurting here. When and how do we turn it around?
Well, first of all, I agree with you. I've never seen anything like it, and I hope I never see anything like it again. But the government programs and the stimulus package and all of this spending has not reaped any significant rewards except to give us a debt and deficit that is amounts to generational theft. We got to go back to the basics. We got to get small businesses the kind of relief they need and the credit line they need in order that they can hire and buy new equipment. For example, let's give them payroll tax holiday. Take the money out of this misbegotten stimulus package and give them a breather. Let's cut taxes and do it on a permanent basis. Let's cut the corporate taxes, which are the highest in the world. Let's give some incentives to businesses to locate and to grow all over this country rather than driving them out. The head of the Business Roundtable recently said that, which is the nation's largest business. I'm sure you didn't miss it. His name was Seidenberg. I think he's the head of Verizon, but he said that this is an unfriendly administration for business. So instead of tacking more regulations on them, let's reduce those and eliminate some of those regulations. And let's also make sure that we give them a predictable economic future as far as rules, regulations, laws are concerned. And one of the ways to starting next January, would be repeal Obamacare.
Senator, let's go to Afghanistan. American forces have suffered a deadly 24 hours. I'm sure you're aware of this. 8 troops killed in attacks, including this audacious Taliban raid on a police compound in the southern city of Kandahar. Boy, we're in the middle of this, and a lot of people say it's a quagmire. Others say we've got to stay the course. But it is not going well, or perhaps I misread it, Senator.
Well, unfortunately, this is something that we expected when we moved into Kandahar. It's tragic. It's just awful. But we have got to prevail and control Kandahar. They will fight with everything they have. I'm talking about the Taliban and Al-Qaeda, because they know whoever controls, as you know, John, whoever controls Kandahar controls the region and the country. This is a very tough fight. I am confident that we can succeed, but I'm most worried about this uncertain trumpet that we have sounded by saying we're going to withdraw in 2011. I was just outside of Kandahar over the 4th of July, and a police chief there, who, by the way, was one who was not corrupt, said, yeah, the Taliban tell everybody that you Americans are leaving, and if we cooperate after they leave, they'll cut off our heads. Now, that's penetrated to the lowest level. We set a date for withdrawal once we succeeded in Iraq. That's what we have to do in Afghanistan. Otherwise, the people in the region and the countries in the region, as you know, will accommodate in our chances of winning. If you tell the enemy you're leaving, then they're going to wait you out, obviously. That's what I'm most concerned about.
Well, there's a front-page story in the Arizona Daily Star this morning. A young man who was ready to play baseball for the University of Arizona in a tragic incident in Afghanistan. His legs were blown off. He was fighting for his life in a German hospital for the last few weeks, and now he's died. It's a human story, as you know, war is, and it just brings home. I think this is the 24th, maybe as high as the 45th death of Southern Arizonans in Iraq and Afghanistan. But the price in blood and treasure is great. Can we prevail if we extend the deadline, if we stay the course in Afghanistan? What do we win, Senator?
If we send a message that we're going to do what's necessary, and with General Petraeus and the finest leadership that I have ever seen in our military, and the efficiency and the equipment that we got, we can succeed, and we could succeed in a relatively short period of time. And what I mean succeed is have a government that functions in Kabul and reasonable control over the country so that Afghanistan does not return to a base for attacks on the United States of America, as it was prior to 9/11, as you know. So there's a lot at stake here, and now it's not even just Afghanistan. The Pakistanis are beginning to adjust. Karzai, you see him say some strange things, but it's because he is beginning to adjust for a departure of the United States, and he's still there. You see my point, John?
I do, Senator. Let me take you to local politics here. We've got Buzz Mills, the millionaire who had spent $3 million to try to capture the Republican nomination for governor. He now has pulled out of the race, and, of course, the former chair of the Republican Party in the state, former chair of the Republicans here in Pima County, John Munger, pulled out long before that. And, of course, Dean Martin, the treasurer's pulled out. That leaves certainly a clear and open field with a limited challenge to Jan Brewer as governor. I'll tell you, I know you followed politics a long time. I have, almost 40 years in Arizona. I've never seen such a turnaround for a political candidate than the turnaround for Jan Brewer. She was written off as political dead a year ago. There wasn't anybody that was going to support her. And now she enjoys just an overwhelming amount of support, and obviously her challengers are falling by the wayside. Quite a story of Jan Brewer as governor of Arizona.
It really is, and sometimes the person makes the event and the event makes the person. But I think I and most citizens of the state are very, very grateful and proud of the way she stood up on to the federal government on this lawsuit issue. She has handled herself, in my view, with extraordinary fashion, and I'm very proud of her. And she has gotten a lot of national coverage, and the fact is that she has risen to the occasion. And I think that's been reflected in the sentiment of the people in Arizona. And I think she stands well ahead in the polls against the Attorney General also.
There's no question the federal government now challenging our employer sanctions law as well as Senate Bill 1070. You're familiar with these laws and this legal fight over them. How confident are you that these laws will stand?
You know, I have a lot of confidence in John Kyle, who, as you know, is not only a lawyer but very familiar with immigration law. And by the way, John Kyle continues to do a great job in Washington, and it's of his opinion that this law will stand. It's, you know, there's the technical side of it, and then there's the policy side of it. It's an outrage that the federal government should sue the state of Arizona because the state of Arizona is doing what is a federal responsibility. And by the way, I'm sure that you have seen that the public opinion polls all over America show strong support for the state of Arizona wanting to secure its borders. And so John Kyle and I have invited the president to come to Arizona and inspect the border, where he would see signs put up by his own administration that say, warning, human smuggling, warning, drug smugglers, that they are not safe and secure in their homes and their businesses and their environment and their families, and that's not an acceptable situation for any citizen of this country, and that's the case with the citizens of the southern part of our state, as you know.
Senator, back to the campaign for a moment. You've agreed, I believe, to 2 televised debates next month in the state Senate primary. I believe I believe there'll be a debate between you and Hayworth, right, somewhere along the way.
This weekend. This weekend we'll be in Phoenix at Channel 3, and then we'll be down in Tucson on Saturday night at the public PBS station.
Well, you've debated before.
Arizona Illustrated.
And it's not like you haven't been there before, right?
Yeah. I look forward to it. I look forward to these debates, and Mr. Deacon, who is also qualified to be on the ballot, will be in it. And I always enjoy these things. I enjoy the campaigning, and as you know, John, we have talked in the past. I believe in that old Irish saying, "A fight not joined is a fight not enjoyed."
Very quickly, I've watched you during this campaign. It seems like you are enjoying it.
It's fun.
I mean, you get to meet a lot of people you hadn't seen for a while, and it's great. This is a wonderful state, and you get all corners of it, and it's a great experience. I think to go back from small town to big city and realize what a great place this is. Very quickly, we turn on our television sets. We see the oil continue to gush into the Gulf of Mexico. Can we prevent this from ever happening again? How is the government, in your mind, being able to help those who are so dramatically adversely affected by this terrible environmental catastrophe, one of the worst of its kind? Assess that for us, Senator, as it exists now and as we look down the road to offshore drilling and the ability to prevent it from happening again.
I think it's terrible. We all know how terrible this thing is and how substantial and terrifying the environmental damage is. And obviously the federal government needs to do everything that it can to help and to contain this and to make sure that it doesn't happen again. But also let me say, John, I believe that once we find out what happened here, what the fix is, that we should go ahead with offshore drilling. Look, there's thousands of rigs out there, and they are vital in providing our energy needs. And also, it's like if you have the terrible tragedy of an airplane crash, you don't stop all flights, do you? You find out what caused it, and you fix the problem, and then you resume flights, right? And this business of the administration saying the moratorium, and then now twice having it ruled not acceptable by a federal judge, and they're still saying that they're going to impose a moratorium. So fix the problem, find out what happened, and help the people who have been affected by it. But we still need to do offshore drilling, my friend.
There is no question that apparently there will be a vote very soon on banking reform. How do you think that will go? Do the Democrats have a few Republicans and can get this thing past the Senate? What's your take on that?
Unfortunately, they've got a few Republicans. Look, the intent of legislation was supposed to be that no institution ever again be too big to fail. No one who reads this bill, in my view, that I respect, believes that. Second of all, you and I know who are the people who were the ones that started the conflagration. In many respects, were Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, who were giving people mortgages that they could not pay back. I mean, a fundamental principle of economics. There is nothing in this legislation that affects Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, and which then allows them to continue in business as a government-sponsored enterprise, which then will, of course, continue the problem. And so there's many other aspects of this bill, which is, again, one of these 2,000-some page behemoths, and we're going to be finding out for months and years ahead what they put into it. And, I believe that we could have fixed the problem, but I certainly don't think that this legislation will do it, and I greatly fear that we may experience another difficult situation because we have not addressed the fundamental problems.
Final question, Supreme Court nominee Kagan, she have the votes to be confirmed?
Well, it seems so, but again, I have opposed her because I believe that the way that she, in her position of authority at Harvard University regarding military recruiters, was just totally unacceptable, and she was not in compliance with the law, with the Solomon Amendment, which said that in order to receive federal funding, that educational institutions have to allow access for military recruiters to be located on campus. She fought against that, and she's had some kind of separate but equal idea, but the fact is that the military recruiters were not given free access to the campus the way that recruiters for other businesses were, and I think that's wrong.
Well, Senator, up 64-19 in the polls. That's a pretty good feeling this week, and
I
know. You're going to campaign anyway.
And I don't think. I think it's a lot closer than that, and I certainly will keep running as if I'm behind.
All right, Senator, good to talk with you. Thanks for being on the show. I appreciate it very much.
Always good to be with you again, John.
It's good to have you here, Senator. Thank you.